There is a silent crisis unfolding around men in America.
Is it true that we are living shorter? The answer is yes, but it's a bit of a statistical issue. Too many men, call it age 20 to 60, are dying. And the most common cause of death that's increasing that are what we call deaths of despair. So that's suicides and overdoses. There's been a little bit of isolation of men. There's been a little bit of a sense that maybe men are becoming less connected to their sense of purpose. And as such, this is producing behaviors in men that are ultimately harmful.
These are not just numbers. These are our brothers, our fathers, our sons, and our friends. Men who have lost their sense of purpose, their community. They're feeling isolated and they think they are alone.
But there is hope. Through service, through brotherhood, through vulnerability, we are fighting back. This is a story of men coming together to make a difference, not just for others, but for our own livelihood.
This past weekend, we took a group of, in total, about 14 guys. We went to a Twilight 5K. They do it annually. Something that we express is standing up for the things that matter and fighting for the things that matter. And this is one example of us uniting as an army, as a team, as an organization to stand up for Ainsley's Angels and be there for their organization and show up with ourselves as the men we are and be able to be there and bring a certain type of energy and represent men in the arena. What was cool about this is we drove together in the van. It was an opportunity. If anyone had played team sports, that was something that was a part of my life. And it was really cool to travel with the team and be able to have the banter, the conversations, to get to know each other a lot better. And a lot of us had not hung out outside of workouts. And that's a common theme in a lot of our lives. And it was really cool to get out of the gym to get to know these guys a lot more. And a part of that experience, for the first about 30 minutes of the drive, we went and sat with some questions that I put out to the team to think about so we could all share and just connect on a deeper level of why we were wanted to do this race from an individual level. These are questions good for everyone, especially men, to just think about and how they're showing up and what they stand for, what they value. The first question being, what does doing the right thing mean to you when no one's watching?
Now being a father, I'm a husband and a father, I think a lot about doing the right thing when no one's looking. It's setting the standard. If my sons were to see, or my wife was to see, I know God always sees, what would they think? How would I feel if I played this back? I need to set the standard so I can feel good about myself when I sleep and not betraying that internal moral compass.
Just be a good person and not have attachment, not think about yourself. One thing that I think is the right thing may not be somebody else's right thing. You gotta go by your instinct or intuition.
I think doing service, doing the right thing, it's just a value of connectedness. I suppose psychologically it increases empathy and communal consciousness when there's more empathy.
One of the most important things to me is taking time out of my day. Time is the most valuable asset these days. To shoot my friends a text, making an effort to call my parents and grandma every week means a lot to me.
I need to live my life in a way that's meaningful and on purpose, regardless of the outcome, regardless of if I walk into everything. I want my work ethic and integrity to be as though I'm going to take hold of the promise tomorrow. Even if I never see it, I want to tell myself I ran my race well and I set the standard for my children to uphold as they run their race.
What does doing the right thing mean to you? Integrity takes many shapes, many forms. There's a big grand gesture like what we did with Ainsley's Angels that can really activate a sense of purpose. Equally important are the daily actions, though, that can ground us and build our self-worth. What are those little things that you're doing when no one's watching? It's these actions at the end of the day that align with our values and give us a sense of pride. These consistent, positive choices, whether it's the grand acts of service or just the daily kindness.
The second question being, what is a time when you have sacrificed your own comfort zone to be of service for others?
Leading up to the event, I would get teary-eyed. I was like, this is gonna be incredible. And so I knew that it was gonna mean a lot because we were helping those that couldn't do what we can do so easily, and we take everything for granted. And remember I mentioned this to you, reality check. I don't want to complain. Why am I complaining?
There's much to learn from someone else's wororldview, and doing that allows personal growth. I could be this new person that can share something where someone else might have a wall. I get to have a perspective. I'm not a disabled person, but I can share that with someone else when I have a conversation and be more empathetic.
Someone that I've become friends with in a short time, the relationship elevated based on some of the needs he needed to open up regarding some family matters. It hasn't gotten to that point where I felt really comfortable consoling him. So I had and just become vulnerable in the situation, which was uncomfortable because I didn't know him well. I had to toss that aside and be of service to him. That helped me get over this wall of vulnerability in helping somebody out when they needed it, regardless if I knew the entire situation, but at least be a shoulder to cry on without me thinking about how I'm feeling. It was uncomfortable, but going through that will help me going forward. And also recognize that you can be there for someone. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to have the right quote or the right strategy to help them.
When we arrived and we were in line, and I saw all the different handicap that people, there were some people that were blind, I could tell, with like just sticks. Some people were, seems to be on wheelchair but functioning, and I was like, wow, I felt really stepped outside of my world, and I don't know, I felt lost on how to just behave around them. Going through the hurdle of, yes, they are different, but it doesn't mean you should be worried or afraid or whatever. Just treat them like you would want to be treated, which is don't just consider them like disabled people and just, I guess, feel sorry for them. That's the last thing they would want. And it was pretty awesome to give back, not in just giving money or just do a donation, but actually be there for one person. For us, running and getting out there is like an everyday thing. And for them, it's the dad of the, Ariel was her name, was like, yeah, we do it once a year, and it's the third year we're doing it, and she really likes it, and she was super excited to get here today, and I was like, it's crazy, once a year. Yeah. We get to do it often, twice a day, and I was like, if we, as men, being healthy and just are able to put it to serve those kids, I was like, fuck, that's pretty awesome. Doing it for like a social media post, or not doing it because of the physical thing, but just, it was nice to surrender. Every time I would be doing a woohoo, she would repeat it. Mm-hmm. At some point I was like, Ariel, give me a yeehaw. And she did a yeehaw. And I was like, yeehaw. And then she repeated it. And I was like, oh, it seems like she's getting into it.
This Texas now. When we can push past our own fears and our own conveniences to help others, we tend to find these parts of ourselves that we didn't know existed. It's really beautiful. It's really powerful. And that's really something we're trying to build with the men in the arena, is to create opportunities / hold men accountable to being courageous and being vulnerable and stepping up when needed.
And then the third one was, what strength or power has been activated when you were of service with others? It was an opportunity for some of the men who've never done anything like this in their life to really feel the power of this experience. Very consistent conversations I'm having around being of service, and it's something that's just not quantifiable. I hear different things of there's magic, there's a certain energy it's created, and it's something that it's hard to explain the power of it, the strength of it, and why it's important as a civilization, as humans, as men, to lean into being of service.
One of the best ways to find yourself is to lose yourself in being of service to others.
I think that has ignited in me just being somebody who takes action and giving back with my energy for fitness.
Long for more spiritual meaning and service now. I feel like that it's something that I was like, oh, I want to be the best athlete I can be. I want to make the most money I can be in my line of work. I want to be an amazing boyfriend and all those things. And I'm very fulfilled and happy in those aspects. But I definitely feel like I can give some of the love and energy I have and give it out. Let's say that this past weekend might be the thing that makes me actually move on to helping others more.
When it comes to service, I've been thinking a lot about my adulthood. I have been selfish, thinking about myself. How does this help me gain? I need to get outside myself. I always see myself as the hero, but maybe I'm the guy keeping the faith for my kids to do something bigger and better than what I'm doing. And how do I serve my family?
When it comes to service, just haven't dove into that side of things as much, and that's why I'm here today. This event with Ainsley's Angels is super important to me. Running specifically has been an amazing activity for me, just like open doors, introduced new friendships, got me through tough times too. So I think being able to give back running specifically to individuals who can't comes full circle. I've been lucky enough to be healthy my entire life. To see people today who can't walk, I think it's gonna be super eye-opening. What it awoken for me is that it really doesn't take that much time and effort out of my day to give back to others. I think sometimes we think it has to be this big task, but there's so many small different ways that we can do that in our day-to-day lives. My personal experience was just amazing, and a little bit of background was I followed Kaylee's journey on Facebook. She shares some details about what she's going through, and after the race was when I was looking at the Facebook page, and I just saw 3 days before the race she was in the hospital not feeling well, didn't know if she was going to make the race. And then after the race, she was having a heart cath put in. So she was back at the hospital like 2 days later, right? And we get to go back to our normal lives, and she went back to the hospital, right? It's just really made me think long and hard about the role I can play in others' lives. I can take a weekend out of my life to provide them like this amazing glimmer of hope where they forget about what they're going through for, could be 30 minutes, but to them it could mean the world.
I think I have now a new side quest that got unlocked. Nice to be going to bed that night and be like, I did something good today. Can I do it again tomorrow? And then not necessarily because that makes me feel good, but also because I think if everyone was doing that, the world would be a much better place.
What you have witnessed here is just one approach to addressing mental health challenges that men face all over the world. It's just one way, but this is something that really resonated with our organization. Through service, we found purpose. Through vulnerability, we found strength. And through brotherhood, we found support. And for every man out there watching this today, your journey might look different, and that's okay. It could be joining a men's group like ourselves, seeking professional help, or just navigating whatever resonates with you as a way you want to approach your mental health. But I think the most important thing to remember is just take the first step. It's not going to be perfect, it may not look pretty, but be open, be willing to connect with others, and be willing to take and put yourself first and put your mental health first. This experience ignited something deep within all of us, a deeper realization that when we come together, when we support each other, when we lose ourselves in the service of others, we can accomplish anything. Together we rise. We're not saying that we have solved mental health issues. This is just one powerful tool to fight against it, and we challenge you to find yours, because all it takes is one act of service, one act of vulnerability, and one act of connection to allow us to turn the tide and fight this together.
It's a fatal mistake if you think I need to be overseas and take a vacation to trip abroad and make a fall on the face. And don't be a retard, be a king, think not. Why be a king when you can be a god?